What's way more dangerous than most people think? Driving tired, sleepy. This is a good one. I almost got plowed to death by Ansav once because a lady fell asleep while driving with her two small children, took out a sign, and came at me on the sidewalk. I had to action dodge behind a tree. She and the kids were all okay, just really shaken up, and I called them, an ambulance, and hung out until paramedics came to check on everyone. I was pretty shaken up about it myself. Really? You don't expect that. Especially in the middle of the day. Don't drive tired, kids. Bites from other human beings are actually really dangerous due to infection rates. A friend bit me once. I turn into her every full moon. People know that rip currents are dangerous, but don't think about them as a real threat often enough. I'm from Florida. My whole entire life I was taught to swim parallel to shore when stuck in a rip current. They teach it in schools. There are commercials about it. The signs say it. You'd think it would be ingrained. But what does my groaner do the first time I got sucked into a rip current? Panicked my off and almost drowned. Towing a stuck car with a chain. There is a list of people who have died from having the chain come through the back window and kill them. If there's one thing I'll always stress, it's a real tow rope. Endless uses, not that expensive. You'll probably only ever need to buy one. They won't mash your skull in if they break. Listening to loud music using earbuds, or really any headphones. Having permanent hearing damage sucks. I'm 40 with the hearing of 70-year-old tinnitus. Constant ringing in both ears. Certain music can make it worse and drive me absolutely batty. Can't hear people at restaurants and bars. What? Protect your ears. Edit. Just had a bonus feature. All ringing goes away. Then a singular tone comes up in one ear at double the normal volume. Edit 2. Woke up to 146 replies. Yes, tried the hands over ears drum head thingy to no avail. Yes, headphones, in car, loud bars and heavy metal concerts have destroyed it. Edit 3. Remembered 2 things. 1. Probably got tinnitus from Metallica 2004 concert. I remember having a phone sales job where it was painful to be on the phone for 3 days. 2. Was applying for medical studies to make some summer cash. Got my hearing tested for 1. Already had a high frequency loss. I was 22. Attempting to change garage door springs without knowing what you're doing can kill you. Same with car springs. Moose. Bigger threat to people up here than bears. Edit. Clarification: by up here I mean Canada. Another clarification: we have a lot of moose and not a lot of grizzly bears. The more common bears, black bears, while still shouldn't be provoked, are a lot smaller and more timid than grizzlies. Not to mention everyone knows to be afraid of bears. For large carnivores, most people don't know to be afraid of moose. Hitting a moose with your car is pretty well a guaranteed fatality, but it's also highly underestimated how dangerous these things can be on their own. They can be around the same height as a transport truck and have a nasty temper if you decide to bug one. Moose were so underrated as a threat for so long that they've become a bit overrated. I've had Reddit arguments with people suggesting they are on par with grizzlies. I've been close enough to both animals in the wild to smell them. Grizzlies are a ton scarier than a moose. Moose are just a lot more common and people don't take them seriously as a threat, both of which increase the chances of a bad encounter. Edit. To be clear, by on par, I'm referring to an attack situation. People saying that an attacking moose is on par with an attacking grizzly. No, it's not. Edit. Okay, I've thought this through. Risk is probability x impact, right? All I'm talking about here is impact. Moose definitely win on the probability side of things because of how common they are and how unpredictable they can be, and because grizzlies generally want to be left alone. So I'm clarifying my initial comment. In terms of risk equals PXI, moose are probably a greater risk overall because there are like 20 of them for every grizzly in North America and they are more likely to attack. But if the only question is which one is more devastating to be attacked by, a moose or a grizzly, I'm definitely going with the grizzly. Edit 3. I'm not going to bed with a heavy conscience. I have never actually smelled the bear in my closest encounters. I have been within 25 feet of both brown and black bears on foot, unarmed and scared as hell. But I didn't smell them. I just said so as shorthand for how goddamn close those encounters were. Now, moose, I have smelled those. Wall of musk, those guys. Being knocked unconscious. Lots of popular media makes it seem like a minor thing that an average person can shrug off after a short period. In reality, if you are ever knocked out, then you have suffered brain damage. It's possible there might not be any lasting effects, but it's a serious injury and you 100% need to see a doctor if it ever happens to you. Try not to be unconscious for too long. It's like super bad for you. Doing nothing for a long period of time. It gets addictive, and it's the hardest thing ever to get back on your feet. Can confirm. Currently sat outside my work on first day back, and damn it was hard to get up at 6 this morning after doing nothing throughout lockdown. Eating a lot of spinach. Believe it or not, people have had kidney failure from 3 spinach smoothies in a day. This is due to the high levels of oxalic acid. Ugh, now all night long I'll be wondering if I'm spinach poisoned. Blocking your nose when you sneeze. Though it's rare, you can damage blood vessels in your eyes and nose, you can rupture your eardrum, and you can even have an aneurysm. Dad sneeze equals healthy sneeze. A kind of random one, but don't eat uncooked slugs or snails. They can have parasites that will make you paralyzed and eventually kill you. An Australian kid died a couple of years ago from it. An awful way to go. I think I'm safe from this one. Driving. Like you see the statistics of car crash deaths, but I don't think you ever truly realize how dangerous it is to simply drive somewhere, since it is such a routine thing. Life on the road would be safer if 5-year mandatory retests were a thing, and not just for seniors. Not wearing sunblock. Even when it's cloudy, you can still burn. Furthermore, one should always wear a hat, i.e. a wide brim one with a neck protector. Living alone. If you get seriously injured or ill at home and you're unable to reach a phone, your chances of survival are much lower than if you have at least one other person in the household. Had an older employee who lived with her son. She didn't turn up for work. Very common to no show / no call at our workplace, just not for her. I had a weird feeling after she wasn't picking up when I called. Waited a few hours and decided to go knock on her door. No answer, but her car was there. I phoned the non-emergency police line and they showed up and broke in. She was found in her bedroom on the floor completely out of it, and turns out she had a very bad case of meningitis. She was admitted to the hospital for a month, and they told her if she had been found by her son by the time he returned home from work, 4 hours after we found her, she most likely would have been dead. Trust your weird gut feelings. Edit. What the heck? Thanks to the kind souls for the award / gold. It's super appreciated. Anything under tension can be dangerous. Guitar strings hold around 200 pounds of tension. A game of tug-of-war can put thousands of pounds of tension into a rope. It's even been known to kill people. Here's a list. Presianomics. True story, as a 14-year-old I played a game of tug-of-war with a large number of people and the rope snapped and whipped back and hit me, leaving me with 3 fractures in my hands. 3 surgeries and lots of PT later. I'm happy to report no nerve damage, but I'm never playing that game again. Misinformation. This, which I guess qualifies as ignorance. Yesterday I commented on a world news thread where the top comment gave completely wrong information about the article that was posted. It was an option based on the title of the article. The poster quickly retracted what they wrote in another comment, but people kept upvoting the comment that was giving wrong information. I was really baffled and realized very few people were actually reading the article, which in and of itself had been ripped off, was a transcription of a short BBC video. Both the original video and transcript / article were misleadingly titled. One decried starving elephants and the other celebrated freed elephants. Though the original video mentioned both topics, it was about neither. People just upvoted what they probably thought summarized the article best. So if people in world news are reading the title of the article, which was very misleading, and top comment of a thread thinking that's a good indicator of what the article said, 2k redditors are now misinformed. This was not a top / front page article, but it really shows how quickly misinformation can spread. Edit to at, check your sources, people. I remember this was a major pet peeve of mine back in college, when my peers quoted Wikipedia, which in turn was quoting blogs. Wiki is now much more reliable, but it's still best to look at the source at the end of the wiki page you're reading. You also have an option in Google search that enables you to find academic publications. Scholastic articles and the likes are best to look up scientific information. Use it. Deep cuts on your fingertips. They are called felons and can infect your bloodstream. Clean them out, and if you see a red line traveling up your arm, get yourself to the ER immediately. My neighbor almost died from this when she cut her finger on her violin string. Edit. Removed my advice about changing tires. My main point was, don't go under your car if the tire's off without a jack stand, but that should be obvious. My old roommate got a cut on his finger from a broken glass in a sanitation sink bartender and was complaining that it was sore and swollen. I had heard about the if you see a line going up your arm, you need to get to a hospital thing and asked to see his arm. Sure enough, he had a red line almost to his elbow. He got to the and caught it in time. Palm trees. They are so much heavier than they look, and their branches can kinda just fall off without warning. Aussie here. Beware a eucalypt on a hot day in the middle of a drought. Eucalypts shed branches when stressed. Usually it's small clusters, but sometimes you'll jump 6 feet to hear a mauve crash outside and see a huge Methodica on the lawn. The amount of times we've almost had one land on our car. Hiking in Arizona heat. Grand Canyon too. You can go down a lot quicker than up. Newts. Many newts, such as the rough-skinned newt, produce a toxin that is 10 times more potent than cyanide. They are only dangerous if you handle them and then don't wash your hands afterwards, or if you eat the newt. There have been multiple reports over the years of someone eating a newt as part of a hazing ritual for a college fraternity and then dying. The toxin that some newts produce can kill you inside of 15 minutes because the toxins block the sodium receptors in your nerves, essentially stopping your brain from communicating with your heart. Scary stuff. TLDR, if you handle a newt, wash your hands and never put a newt in your mouth or you will die. Edit. Did not think this would blow up this much. Thank you to the redditors that provided so much information about tetrodotoxin. To see it in action, check out this video from Nadia. Yautu. How did Miss Trunchbull live? My childhood is a lie. Walking downstairs with your hands in your pockets. Never ever do it, especially not drunk. A fall down even 1 or 2 stairs with no hands to catch you can break your neck. I've seen a video of man tripping and falling down 4 stairs, hitting the top of his head on the wall and dying right there in the stairwell. I was walking across the street with my hands in my pockets and I tripped and hit my face on the curb. My face was pretty jacked up and my teeth got really messed up, and now I will never walk with my hands in my pockets, no matter how cold they are. A lot of household chemicals. Mix the wrong stuff and it's game over or seriously hurt. Ammonia and bleach is a common one, I think. I used far too much ammonia last time I was cleaning and I thought I was going to par out. Cat bites. Pasteurella multocida. Nasty business. Gotta clean those bites and scratches for sure. Electricity. People seem to have little understanding or respect for it. If you touch an AM radio tower you will die, and there is nothing that can save you. Also, it will be the most painful thing you ever experience, past, present, or future. Don't be a dum-dum. Texting while driving. Put your ducking phone away, you duck. My mother and grandmother are so oblivious to this, and it genuinely gets me a bit anxious. Reading all of this and wondering how am I alive and still have teeth. Your teeth can kill you. Booking indoors. Edit. I'd like to expand to running generators indoors too. Are you meaning with like charcoal and stuff? If so, who does that? Blunt kitchen knives. It may seem obvious, but they're more dangerous than sharp kitchen knives. A falling knife doesn't have a handle. Let it fall and step away. Holding a sneeze in. There have been cases of ruptured brain aneurysms and throats, as well as collapsed lungs. No recorded deaths though, according to the good old Google. Edit. Thank you for the cake day wishes, you wonderful people. Edit 2. Grammar. Sneezing is a dangerous too. I fractured a rib caused by a sneeze. Hiking in the woods with earpieces in, even in a suburban area. It seems innocent enough, but not being fully aware of your environment can lead you to not notice snakes or coyotes or other hikers. There's a trail I like to run and it's fairly narrow and flanked by poison oak, so people have to kind of stand aside to let others pass, since you can't comfortably get around someone who's actively walking. Anyway, the amount of people I've come up on who don't hear me because they're listening to music is kind of crazy to me. IDK how they can feel safe being out in nature not hearing anything around them. And of course they can't hear me when I talk to them, and so I always scare the bejesus out of them when I touch their shoulder to ask if I can pass by. Living beyond your means, always having to leverage eats and become financially overextended in order to have things here and now. Concept of delayed gratification should be drilled into everyone at a young age. Mosquitoes. My friend slipped in the bathroom whilst trying to catch a mosquito and hit his head hard on corner of the sink. Spent 2 weeks in a coma after that. Rescuing a drowning person. Drowning people are completely panicked, with one goal which is to get to air immediately, and they will climb on top of people in their blind panic and fear with little to no thought, as long as they can keep their head above water. There have been stories of young children drowning their older siblings and parents as the kid climb on top of their parents' heads and submerge them underwater. Rescuing a drowning person is no joke, and if you yourself a poor swimmer and or not trained in water rescue, do not attempt rescue. Your safety is top priority. Instead immediately call emergency services and try to either extend something out for the person to grab onto, like a pool noodle, pool net pole, branch etc, or throw something that floats at the person for them to grab onto. A life jacket / PFD is the best, but pool noodle, kickboard, floaty, oven cooler / esky lids work. If you are trained in water rescue, then you should already know that if you don't need to get into the water, then don't. Remember call, reach, extend, throw, row, swim, in that order. And always ease the conditions of the water before going in if you do. If the water is too murky, the current is too strong, there is too many in water hazards like logs or rocks. Again, don't attempt rescue. It sounds horrific to think about, but always think of numero uno and rescue teams would much rather only rescue one person than two people. If you do decide to jump into attempt rescue, then you should always get something that floats with you, so you can hand it off to the drownee before they grab onto you. Edit to at, I have already put this in another comment, but seeing as some people may have skipped because they are commenting about how to punch someone in the face to mock them out. No. Hitting someone until they are knocked out may once have been a legitimate technique taught to those training to be lifeguards. It is no longer taught, has not been for years now, and is actively discouraged. If there is anyone out there that thinks they can attempt in water rescue, here is what you do. Copied and pasted from my other comments. This story actually raises a good point. How do you approach a drowning person? I have heard from too many people. Oh, I have been told to knock them out. Like slap them or hit them. While your husband did what he had to do to rescue his friend. This idea that by our need to knock a drowning person out is incredibly outdated, not to mention highly unsafe, not just for the drowning person but yourself as well. First off, if you are close enough to hit a drowning person, you're close enough to be grabbed by them. Remember, a drowning person will latch onto anything that even appears to be floating to keep their head above water. That includes a person trying to rescue them. Remember, a drowning person is not thinking clearly, they are panicked and struggling for air. They will grab you and potentially pull you under to achieve a fresh gulp of air. As mentioned in my op, if you are going to save someone from drowning, you should ideally bring something that floats with you, but really it could be anything that the drownee can hold on to. Maybe don't bring a heavy blood anchor or dumbbell with you though. I got taught even a t-shirt or shoe can sometimes suffice. Anything to create a barrier between you and the drownee. As you approach the drownee, position your body so you are sorta upright, with one hand holding the floating up extended towards the drownee, shouting out, grab the float. I can help, grab the float. Hopefully the drownee does grab the float, but if they so happen to go to grab you, or your arm instead, immediately go onto your back, feet towards the drownee and kick hard away. You may have to repeat this process a number of times, even when the drownee tires themselves out. What happens if the victim does grab you and starts to pull you under? Suck, tuck, and exhale down. Bring them down underwater with you. Sound like the opposite of what you should do. Remember, the drowning person's goal to get air. They can't do that underwater, so if you are taking them with you, they are going to let you kick away again. Ideally, if you can try to get behind them, they can't grab you from behind. In one forceful motion, tuck your arms under their shoulders/armpits, raise your hips up, and lock your knees around their hips. I was pulled out really far to sea on a beach, where the undertow was too powerful to fight. You had to use the wave's momentum to move you further than the undertow would take you out. And me and another guy got pulled out too far, and it was horrifying, because we couldn't help each other, but we were too far apart. It hurt each other. I was about 14, and he made it in, and yelled for help for someone to get me. The guy who saved me didn't touch me until he talked to me and stayed far enough away that I couldn't really reach him unless he wanted to be reached. He didn't have a rotation device or anything. We had to lock arms to support each other. In hindsight, I didn't get it, but after reading this I do now. He wanted to make sure I was calm enough to make contact with. I never got that man's name because I was rushed to hospital because I went under a few times, and I put a thank you in the newspaper, but I never heard from him. But he's a hero to me and one of the bravest men I know for doing what he did. Tylenol. About 500 people die in the US every year from overdose. Edit. The same as paracetamol, acetaminophen, Affirmev, Mapap, Feverol, Farbital. Do not ever take more than 4g or 8 of the 500 mg pills in 24h. Over that is very dangerous, potentially lethal. You do not want to duck with liver damage. Edit. 4g equals 4000 milligrams. Glade plugins. My childhood friend's house burned down because of one of them. Also, a plug-in battery charger burned down a customer's garage. Genuinely curious, because it doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. Was it something specific to the Glade plugin? What was different about that than any other device you leave plugged in for long periods of time, like a TV or refrigerator? Is it possible the Glade plug-in had nothing to do with it, and it was just a faulty wiring issue? Not getting enough sleep. Duck off. It's 4:30 and I'm still going strong. Coconuts. Coconuts kill 300 times more people a year than sharks, since only 16 attacks occur per year, and 1 death every 2 years, while coconuts kill 150 a year, from falling from trees. Imagine if of all the ways to die you die from a coconut falling from a tree. That's honestly sad. Breaking up with someone even when there was no domestic violence in their relationship. My daughter was killed by her ex-boyfriend for breaking up with him. There are many men and women killed for this same reason. I'm so sorry. I remember your username from a different thread some months ago. Lots of love and hugs if you want them. Hippos kill more people than lions do. One that springs to mind for me is flushing your sinuses, i.e. putting water up your nose. If done with straight tap water, brain eating amoeba can kill you. Excuse me, what? Not getting regular checkups. I almost died because I had an internal hemorrhage that was slowly killing me. I was so depleted of iron and blood that the nurses thought my vitals were written in wrong because I should have been dead. I needed 3 pints of blood in one sitting. I'm very nervous now since my parents only bring me to hospitals when I feel very sick. We don't have that much money for regulars. Not taking antibiotics to kill a sinus infection. Kinda seems obvious, but 13y/oh me didn't think so, and that's how I ended up almost dead. Yeppa. I was probably around the same age. Just got over being sick, so I didn't think much of feeling kind of tired and junky. I was in computer class when I started to get audio hallucinations and feeling really lightheaded. Stood up to tell the teacher and collapsed. Any ignored/unknown infection is dangerous, but sinus infections are on another level. Roosters are icks. Make sure you're on their good side. Mine has bitten and scratched me more times than I can count. Cocks are icks. Having unprotected sex. I have a couple friends that are girls that have had sex with over 100 people each, and neither of them make the guys they are sleeping with use condoms or even suggest it. That is horrifying to me. Like playing Russian roulette with your life and future. Wild animals. Most people know that they are dangerous, but they don't think about how dangerous they are. An example of this would be something small like a rat. They carry diseases and can destroy stuff if not taken care of. Rabies is the worst way to go. Water currents, riptides in the ocean and eddy currents in streams. We have some river canyons with signs describing all of the ways you can die in the river and people still die swimming there. I saw a video recently of one guy trying to save another guy who was drowning in a underwater current, and until then I hadn't realized how dangerous it was to try and save someone fighting for their life in the water. The drowning man instinctively used the rescuer to lever himself up for air, so the rescuer was being forced underwater and couldn't breathe. So his instinct kicked in, and he started dragging down the drowning guy for something to hold on to, so he could get air himself. They both drowned each other in panic. Two good friends who would normally dive into danger to save each other, killed each other when instinct kicked in. Never try to help someone drowning. Throw them a ring. Tie some clothes together to make a rope. Find a stick. Do anything but jump in yourself. A human will do anything for one last breath. Mold. It can be poisonous, make you hallucinate, and eating it can seriously mess with your body. Who TF eats mold? Ducking with any animal. A squirrel can and will duck you up at it. You fur is a duct. Raccoons too. Blowing into an orifice, butthole, vagina, etc. can cause an air embolism. There goes my Fridays. The ocean, both for swimming / surfing / etc and for boating. It is 100% not just a big swimming pool or lake. Human beings are in a completely alien environment as soon as they step off the sand or dock, and our perceptions about how things ought to play out no longer matter. The ocean is completely indifferent to human reasoning, and even to human mortality. I'm teaching a good friend to sail right now, and he's naively ambitious as far as sailing long distances in a very small boat. I wasn't joking at all when I chided him by saying, "You haven't been scared enough times yet." The reason I'm so conservative in and around the ocean is because I've developed a healthy, totally reasonable fear of it over the course of my life. Anybody who isn't a little afraid of the ocean hasn't spent enough time around it. Source: Tug Captain, lifelong surfer, and lifelong recreational sailor. Please, if you're going out on a boat, make sure you at least have a first aid kit, a fire extinguisher, a working knowledge of how to call for help on a VHF radio, an anchor to stop you from drifting into rocks if the engine fails, and PFDs for everyone. Situations you've never even imagined can arise so quickly on even a short outing. Close bracket. Grew up on the beach, surfer of over a decade, still not a lot of time, and this is so accurate. Things in the ocean can go so bad so fast. I've had my burglar board hit me over the head, been caught in the wave breaks and nearly drowned, fell into jellyfish patches, and have been caught in more riptides than I can count. I'm lucky to have had the knowledge and experience to deal with those situations, but the tourists that rent boards always make me incredibly anxious and have the potential to be deadly. A good rule of thumb is that if you're not a strong swimmer, do not go past your knees in the ocean. The phrase "we've always done it this way." Eating raw cashews. What? Cashews can be raw? Explain please? Or are you making a joke? Low self-esteem. Reddit mods who manipulate information. In general, any person / company who has too much control over a certain outlet / input. Take any monopole, dictator, media, etc. Crossing train tracks when a train is coming. People do it every day, so clearly don't realize how dangerous it is until they are hit by the train and are killed. This is one of those things you wouldn't expect on this list, but if people realized how dangerous it actually was, people wouldn't tempt their fate each day to save a few minutes. Walking close to train tracks of high-speed trains too. They can suck you into them as they power you by. Drinking alcohol, not even getting drunk. I have cirrhosis mostly because I love beer, whiskey, and food. I now have incredible pain, anxiety, and have to take meds that are awful. The only fix is a transplant. The catch is, you have to be almost dying to get a chance at one. Enjoy. Not every day. Not too much. Avoid the binge, good people. Not going to the doctor when something is wrong. You aren't macho for not going. It doesn't make you more of a man. It makes you an idiot. If you live in America and don't have insurance, I'm not talking about you. We all know these people though. I'm not going to no damn doctor. I'm fine. I knew guy who hadn't been to the doctor in 30 years. 30 years. Always bragged about it. Never sick. Blah blah blah. One day he goes to the doctor because he loses a chiz ton of weight for no reason in the span of a month. Turns out he has so much cancer in his ducking body that he's a walking miracle. Stomach, colon, lung, and it was in his lymph node. Doctors gave him a prognosis of like 4 months with aggressive treatment. He forgoes the treatment and died in a month. Go to the ducking doctor. Your best chance against cancer is early detection. Hell, that's with everything. If you wait too long it might be too late to do anything. That's so sad. I was somewhat conditioned as a kid to not complain unless it was really serious, and the times I did, the sharp pain in my abdomen was my appendix about to burst and my chest pain was 6 lesions on my lungs the size of golf balls. Power wishes. Oddly enough, I just learned this lesson. The side of my finger accidentally fell in front of the spray. Hurt like a mother ducker. Kept holding it, then when I looked I had a clear cut on one finger and like burn blisters on the other. I never felt so stupid and tried to play it off like I was fine for the rest of the day, so my boyfriend didn't realize how stupid I actually was. But I'm sure he realized. Almost everything that today we get to take for granted is routine / infections, easily treated right. Not with antibiotic resistant bacteria and or new viruses / anesthesiology and painkillers. Incredible, but with fatal consequences if mishandled / driving. Look up stats or talk to the paramedics and other first responders with stories / trades jobs. If you aren't trained in that particular trade, up on all the required safety protocols, or in a situation where the company isn't as stringent as they could be, lots of people get hurt or worse. It is one of several reasons we have a day of remembrance for workers killed on the job / childbirth. Modern medicine helps a lot, but there is a reason some cultures considered it like going into battle / household repairs and cleaning supplies. I seem to remember that ladders, stairs, etc. resulted in a lot of accidents. Many children get poisoned from unsecured cleaners. Adult safety and childproofing a home / as others have said, things under tension or heavy things that can drop from a height. One of the reasons logging is so dangerous / food safety. Our food usually has been kept safe throughout its journey to us, but we find out from food recalls how quickly hundreds or thousands can get sick when regulations aren't followed / war. Not that we think it is in any way safe, but likely many of us on Reddit haven't had direct experience with just how horrible it can be. That is why videos and documentaries are still so captivating on the subject, because the danger was more extreme than we often grasped at first / currently relevant. Disruptions to farms. If farms don't get planted / watered / weeded / harvested on time, eventually someone may not get to eat. Basically, we have tried over time to reduce the everyday things that are dangerous to us, with more or less success, and sometimes with unintended side effects. / like the big one, carbon emissions equals more dangerous than most people think. Edit. I remembered confined spaces with little air exchange and low oxygen. They can suffocate a whole series of people who go into them, one after another, victim and rescuer, if they don't have the correct PPE. Oh, and rotating machinery can seriously mess you up. Trying to repair power supplies or old court TVS monitors. If you know what you're doing, you might not die. If you don't get your affairs in order, these devices, even unplugged, can release enough electricity to kill you instantly. When I was learning computer repair, my instructor called them widowmakers, and to avoid repair of them. Is it the capacitors in them? Capacitors, if big enough, can ducking kill you dead if they have a charge. Roadworks. Yeah, old duckers gotta stop speeding past my elaborate road cone setup, because a hard hat and orange vest will not save me if you go amiss. Platypuses, they are venomous, and not a lot of people know it. Doofenshmirtz, better be careful. This whole post gave me anxiety. Yeah, most people who breathe air die within 80 years of their first exposure to it, and some die within 1 month. Quite an achievement. Not trusting your gut instinct about people. There's a reason you have that little feeling of oh no I'm uncomfortable, get me away. Listen, distance, and you'll thank yourself later. X. Resting your eyes for a few seconds after you turned off the alarm. Bandwagoning. When everyone basically adopts a hive mind and everyone collectively does the same thing even if it's wrong. Camels can be pretty dangerous. They can sometimes even decapitate people by biting their heads off. How bad did you have to piss off a camel to make it bite your head off? Calling the police for a forged $20, apparently. For real, I feel sorry for all the employees at Cup Foods. They had the right to expect the police to handle the small crime they reported without ending up being complicit in a brutal murder that happened right in front of them. Their victimhood is incomparable to that of Mr. Floyd and his loved ones, of course. But man, to have that on your conscience for the rest of your life. Credit cards. If you're sensible and pay it off, credit cards are a good thing for your credit rating, which is important for getting rent or a mortgage, etc. Depression. People who will say just be happy, never actually ducking rode the horse. Edit. Ripches. 250 likes. Edit. I never expected to hit this like this. 460 likes. Almost every solution people on the outside looking in give for mental conditions is dependent on not having the condition in the first place. Depression? Just try being happier. Anxiety? Stop being so worked up over nothing. Eating disorder? Try eating correctly and not eating incorrectly. Phobia? There's not a good reason to be afraid of that, so don't be. Just stop getting distracted and do the thing. If they could do their genius solution, they wouldn't have the damn condition. Alcohol. Loneliness. It really messes you up later in life, if not right away. As a person without friends in almost my entire childhood, I really felt that. Never trusted anyone, even parents. Nobody wanted to talk to me, and I became very quiet and introverted. I very rarely get out of my house. I tend to listen more and not participate in conversations. That followed by low self-esteem and anxiety and self-hate. Less sleep than your body needs. Edit. Wow, I haven't expected so many upvotes. Thank you. Take a nap now. Reads at 7 AM in the morning after not sleeping. Shii. Sitting in your car when it's broken down on the side of the road. Put your hazards on. People. My great grandfather was driving down a road and saw a woman with a flat tire, decided to help her out, parked his car in front of hers, and was grabbing his tire iron out of his trunk. Somebody didn't see her car, didn't have her hazards on, and slammed into the back of her car. Her car flew forward and hit great grandpa's car, pinning him in between. He survived, but lost both legs above the knee. So yeah, use your damn hazard lights. Police officers apparently. Shots fired. Hypothermia. If your clothes get soaked and you can't dry out and warm up, temps in the 50s F13C can kill you. This is how people going on day hikes get killed. Something happens and they can't get back to their car/lodge. The weather changes and they can't find shelter and they get wet. They die of exposure. My scoutmaster taught us boys the hard way by teaching us the importance of planning. He made us traverse a stream, and while our packs didn't get wet because we were carrying them above our heads, we did get soaked up to about our chest in cool water. The temperature was around 55 F that day, which is not that cold and kinda nice. After we got to the other side, you would not believe how quickly we got cold, especially if there is no cover from the wind, and within a few minutes, our hands became useless, and we couldn't start a fire. The shivering got so bad, it was incapacitating. The cold set in fast. We learned that day that we needed to make sure our clothes remained dry, even if that means stripping down, but naked to cross the stream, and that we needed to have fire already made, and a smoldering ember ready to go along with tinder, so that we could get a fire going quickly, that is if we didn't have matches, or a fire steel. So he taught us that we should cross the stream, put our dry clothes back on, start a fire to warm up and dry out, and immediately start working on shelter. Hard lessons don't leave you, even after 30 years. Edit, for clarity. Beds. Yes, bears are known to be dangerous, but they are bigger, stronger, and faster than most people realize. A guy I know once tried to tell me if he came across a bear in the woods he would just fight it. A full-grown 5 feet 7 inch guy, though he could physically win a fight with a grizzly bear. Also, a bear doesn't care if you're dead or not before it starts eating you. Prolapsing an anus. UHH. People do that. Oh my. You watched until the end? That's fucking awesome, dude. Thanks for watching.